Okay, we're gonna have to just hope that my autofocus, I hope that my autofocus is on. You know what, we can take this journey together. I mentioned before I'm trying to lose weight, and I've cut alcohol out of my diet for a month, but I had a hankering for some wine. Although I gotta say, I don't know, the taste just isn't there right now. I've been doing my diet for a while. I unintentionally am on the keto diet, and I say unintentionally because I didn't know that that's the diet I was on when I started it. I just kind of like started this one diet and it wasn't working for me, so I just kind of like pulled from different areas. I eat all, well, I shouldn't say all, but I eat mostly organic. You know, if I'm at someone's house or if I'm out to eat, if they don't have organic, I kind of just try to find the best thing I can. But I eat mostly organic, or I buy as much organic as I can. I can't find organic grapefruit or avocado anywhere. I don't know if maybe those just don't exist. I don't know, but the good thing about that is it cuts a lot of garbage out of my diet because, you know, like I've never found organic Cheetos. So I've been eating organic, and I basically, I hesitate telling people about my diet because, you know, then everyone wants to tell you what they think, and I don't care. I do intermittent fasting. So basically, in a nutshell, all that is that I only eat during an 8-hour window of the day. Now that I'm used to the fasting period. And so because of that, I pretty much only eat during like a 4-hour window, really. Everybody intermittent fasts unless you eat while you're sleeping. So before you go hating on me for like intermittent fasting, when you're sleeping, you're fasting. That's why they call it breakfast. You're breaking your fast. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I said. Even with my diet and changing everything I eat and working out every day, I still just can't lose anything more than 6 pounds. So I cut out alcohol. It's been hard, but I haven't had, it's only been like a week and 2 days, and I've totally cheated. Like I've had like a glass here of like vodka water, or I think I had a beer the other day. I'm doing way better on the consuming of alcohol than I was before. Anyway, that's not what I came on here for. I just had to like justify why I have a glass of wine right here. I thought actually what I would talk about is medication. My medicated journey. Last Thursday, I think it was, I started taking my antidepressant, anti-anxiety again. So I'm about to tell you, I think a relatable story. I think it was my last video. I went on this whole rant, this whole tangent about taking care of yourself and medication and da-da-da. And I'm speaking from experience because I've stopped taking my medication before, and it's so stupid. A couple of years ago, I was prescribed this medication, buspirone, and I believe that's more of an anti-anxiety than it is depressant. The bottle said take 1 pill every 8 hours, and so I did because I'm a rule follower and I like to follow direction. When you've never taken anything before and then all of a sudden you're just like, if you're watching this and you used to work with me and you remember seeing me cry a lot at work, like a couple of years ago, that was why. I was put on this anti-anxiety medication, and if you've ever been prescribed anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and I'm speaking from experience, I've taken 2 different kinds before, plus I was gonna say I've dabbled in Xanax, but that sounds like I just like sprinkle it on my cupcakes. But I've been prescribed Xanax as well. So I've taken like 2, 3-ish type pills before, and I've, you know, talked to other people as well. So this is where it's coming from. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I'm not a doctor. This is pretty much what I've heard from just about anybody who's ever taken any sort of antidepressant, anti-anxiety, is like the first month is just hell because your body's trying to get used to it. So I took it as recommended, and I cried all the time. It was miserable. That's what I was prescribed, and I took it, and I took it as directed on the bottle for like a couple of months, and then I was like, it just was too much for me. So then I started taking a pill a day, and that was more my speed. And then I thought, what everyone thinks when they take medication. I'm talking like, you know when your doctor prescribes you when your doctor prescribes you a, what the fuck is it called? What are the pills you take when you have an infection and your doctor's like, keep taking it even if you feel better? You're probably all screaming it at your screen right now, aren't you? Antibiotic. Fuck. antibiotic and your doctor prescribes it to you and they're like, keep taking it even if you feel better, but you don't, because I don't. I got a whole drawer full of half-taken antibiotics. I took the medicine and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't need this antidepressant, anti-anxiety, whatever. And so I just like kind of took it when I needed it. And that worked. And then I ran out. And I never went back to the doctor. And eventually she stopped refilling my prescription. And that's when the panic attack started. So that was a really long story. I'm sorry to have dramatically dragged that out. I went back to my doctor a little while after that. This would have been in January of 2017. My last video when I talk about telling my doctor I just want to feel normal, it was that visit. And she prescribed me Lexapro. I read up on all the side effects and I had a lot of them. And some of them were common and some of them were not. I actually have them written down. I had headache, dizziness and vertigo, which I think we've established could also have been from that concussion I had, confusion, drowsiness, aches in my joints. I don't know if this happens to other girls, but like when I'm on my period, sorry. Ew, it's natural, okay? When I'm on my period, my hips hurt really bad and sometimes my knees, like the joints just ache. It was kind of like that almost, but worse actually. Tight neck and shoulders. I could not pop my jaw, which I usually can, and just all right here was super, super tight. Stiff jaw. These were the ones that were listed under the like rare side effects. Burning skin. And fortunately, I'm familiar with the feeling. Let me finish. Because I used to take a fat burner and in the fat burner was niacin. So if you've ever taken niacin, I don't really know what else you take it for. I think you can take it for like high cholesterol. If you've ever taken anything with niacin in it and your skin burns, that was the feeling. And fortunately, I was familiar with the feeling, so it didn't totally freak me out, but it definitely wasn't pleasant. Loss of appetite, weight loss, trouble focusing my eyes. Like I couldn't focus my eyes on anything. It felt like my contacts had to be moved a lot. I mean, the weight loss, that was cool. Loss of appetite kind of sucked because I enjoy eating, but probably helped with the weight loss a little bit. I also, during my menstrual cycle, oh my gosh, she's talking about her period again. During my menstrual cycle, I was sadder, which kind of seems like, well, yeah, aren't we all? But no, it was like, it was really, really bad first starting out. I'm pretty sure that this is a very common side effect in any antidepressant, anti-anxiety. Something you have to be mindful of is increased suicidal thoughts. Had that too. I wrote down all these symptoms, and after I took the Lexapro for a couple of months, I had to go back and check in on my doctor because obviously she wanted to make sure that the dosage worked. And I had some friends that I told that I was taking Lexapro, and a lot of people have had bad experiences with Lexapro. The biggest one I've been told about is the headaches. They're a fucking nightmare. And I'm saying this knowing that my good friend Sarah has migraines, so I can just stop rolling your eyes at me, Sarah, okay? My head hurt. But no, it was all right here, and it was just like, if you could just take this and push on your temples, oh, it was fucking mind-numbing. That was probably, honestly, the most uncomfortable feeling. Everything else was more like a nuisance, and it was just kind of there like a hum, whereas like the headache was just like, ugh. I took the Lexapro, and I was prescribed 10 milligrams. I took it once a day. The one thing I never ended up adjusting to was the drowsiness. I would get so tired. And so actually, probably December about, I started to run out of my medicine. And so I started like staggering it. Like I took it like every other day. Part of it was on purpose and part of it was I just kind of like forgot sometimes. In January, I went to see my doctor. I had to get a blood test done because they want to check your liver. And she asked me, you know, just how I was feeling. And I told her, I was like, all the symptoms I ever had have gone away, especially the whole weight loss one. Did you see that number on the scale? Yeah. But I told her the drowsiness never went away. And so she cut my dosage down to 5 milligrams a day. So that's what I went down to. And I did that for probably a month. And then I went to California. And you might recall, my trip to California was just like a whole new world. A whole new world. I just felt like a new person. And so I did what I had done before. Oh my gosh, I feel amazing. I don't need to take this medicine anymore. And so we got back and I just forgot and I got lazy. And so I stopped taking my medication for like a month. It really wasn't that bad, she says. Sean's probably like, it was awful. I started to feel the anxiety come back. I mean, I've told you already, you know, St. Patrick's Day, I was feeling anxious. And that's the thing though, is medication, well, I'm sure you can take some sort of pill that just takes away all the pain. But then you're a zombie and you're numb. Just because I take an antidepressant or anti-anxiety, it doesn't mean that I'm never going to feel anxious or depressed ever. It just kind of puts a curve on the daily, you know, the daily shit. Last week I was feeling very down, very low, which may have been evident in my videos. I told Sean, I said, I think I'm gonna get back on my Lexapro because I don't feel 100%. It's one thing to feel anxious every once in a while. I'm used to that. And in fact, it's kind of sad, but sometimes I'm almost confused when I don't feel anxious because it's become such a norm in my life. And so I told him I was gonna get back on it, and the first night I took it, oh my gosh, I had a pounding headache. But I actually got used to it very quickly because I started taking it again and I was very much mentally prepared for, okay, Libby, I'm probably gonna have a headache, I'm probably gonna feel this way or that way or whatever. And actually I didn't really feel any of it. I had a headache that first night and I was very, very irritable. Like, I was like a child. First couple days kind of sucked. I got used to it and I've been taking it every day now. I take it now at night, kind of helps me fall asleep a little bit more, and that way I can take it and just let it get into my system and whatnot. So I'm glad to be back on it. I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it because I've mentioned, you know, get help, go to the doctor, maybe get medication and everything. So I want to talk a little bit about my medication and what I take and my experience with it. And I get that having to take a pill, A, is just like a pain in the ass to remember. B, it sucks because then, like I've said before, you worry like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to take this pill for the rest of my life and da-da-da, whatever. And then you feel better and then you're like, I don't need it. And maybe that's the case for some people. I'm not saying that maybe there aren't people out there who have done what I did. They got off it and they stayed off it. But for me, I've learned my lesson. I need to stay on my medication. 2, this is actually really important. No, I'm not a doctor, but I know that this is true. Don't stop taking your medication without talking to your doctor. What I did, I feel like I'm scolding myself. What I did was very irresponsible and stupid. Don't do it, because I have known people who have, and granted, I don't consider Lexapro, 5 milligrams of Lexapro in a day. Like, I don't consider that to be super, it's not your Zoloft, it's not Paxil, it's not Xanax, but it is still a prescription drug. But I have known people who have said like, oh, and I just stopped taking my Xanax, or I stopped taking my Paxil or my Zoloft, and have ended up putting themselves in the hospital. So don't do what I did because it's stupid and it's irresponsible. There, I said it. Is this a lame video? Do I ask myself that on every video? I do. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about medication because medication does help people. And, there's stigmas. There's stigmas with people who have anxiety and depression. And, thank goodness. This is a really weird side note. I was watching this show called Women Who Kill. I think it was called Women Who Kill. I don't know. It was about women who kill, though. I can tell you that much. It was on Netflix last night. And I was watching the story of this woman. Her name was Cindy Countess, I think. And she killed her mom. I realize this is taking a dark turn. Stay with me. But her defense was that she had just gotten back on her Paxil. Her mom had dementia and also her own bipolar issues, that being, the day and age that it was, because this was several years ago and her mom was older, so being from an older generation, never did anything to treat her mental illness. Not really sure why I'm thinking about murder now. I'll figure it out. Hold on. Oh, I remember. Whew, I had to turn the camera off. Such a stigma with mental illness. And I'm so grateful that nowadays it's almost like, I've kind of joked about this before, like a club, or it's almost everyone has some form of anxiety or depression, it seems. And I'm so grateful to be in this day and age where not only do more people talk about it, but it's more accepted, it's more understood. You're not shamed for getting it treated. I mean, I openly talk about going to see my therapist or taking my medication because I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not made to feel ashamed of it. And frankly, if someone wants to judge me, they can fuck all the way off. I was watching this show on Netflix and it's about this woman and her mom and not so much focusing on the whole she killed her mom part, but I was thinking about her mom, and her mom had what they said was like bipolar disorder and she never got it treated. And I mean, even as short a while ago as when my mom was a kid. I mean, my mom, granted, is in her 60s, but I don't think of that as old. And so that short a time ago when my mom was a kid, you know, mental illness, depression, anxiety, and actually my therapist and I were talking about this the other day. There are still people now with children and their parents are like, just change it. Just, you know, change how you feel, change how you're behaving, just change it. There are people who just don't understand that it's not that simple. And so that's why I wanted to talk about my medication and my experience with it. And just for the very least, so that it's being talked about, because you should never be ashamed if you're doing any sort of anything to better yourself. And that's not even just talking about taking medication for your depression or your anxiety, but seeing a therapist or a counselor or changing your diet to better suit you and what you need. You shouldn't be ashamed of that, and you shouldn't be made to feel like there's something wrong with it. At the end of the day, it is your body and it's your choice what you want to do with it. And I realized that I could just get myself into a whole debate and topic that I am not interested in having. Never feel bad for asking for help. Everyone needs help. And like the one message I just really always want to drive home is that you're not alone. You're absolutely not alone. I guarantee you that there's someone in your inner circle who is going through the same stuff you are and maybe just doesn't talk about it because either, you know, maybe you're not talking about it because you feel like no one else will understand, but then they're not talking about it because it's kind of like when you were a kid in school and the teacher would say, does anyone have any questions? And no one would raise their hand. The teacher would say, if you have a question, there's a good chance someone else in here has the same question. That's the same kind of thing. You might think that you're the only person in your family or in your group of friends or in your team at work or whatever who's going through what you're going through. And although I have a hair on my lip, even though you might feel like you're the only person in your family or in your group of friends or on your team at work going through what you're going through, you're not. I promise you. Take my challenge. I promise you that you're not. Maybe, you know, maybe it's not the exact same thing because not everyone's experience is identical. Everyone reacts differently to everything, but you're not alone. And that is the point I'm always trying to drive home. But you know what? Maybe you're still doubting me. Maybe you're like, yeah, but Libby, you don't know my family, or you don't know my friends, or I don't really have anyone at work I can talk to. Okay, fine. I'm right here. So maybe you don't have anyone in your family or your group of friends or at your workplace or in your school or wherever you're at to talk to, but I'm right here. So that's today's lesson. I'm right here. Anywho, I'm gonna get going, and I really am gonna get going because I know that I always say that and then I don't, and then I ramble for 5 more minutes, so we better just wrap this up before I remember another thought and I go on another tangent. Okay? Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Love it. Love you. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a great day, a great night, a great week. If you're in Michigan, it's gonna be in the 60s at the end of the week, so yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a great day.